long before telescopes, before satellites, before humanity walked on the moon. There were men who tried to understand the universe using nothing but mathematics, observation, and imagination. In the heart of the Islamic Golden Age, under the domes of great observatories, a brilliant scholar stared into the night sky and asked a question that would change science forever. Can the universe be understood through reason alone? His name was Ali Kuşçu, astronomer, mathematician, teacher, traveler, and one of the greatest scientific minds of the 15th century. He challenged ancient assumptions about Earth and the cosmos. He transformed astronomy into a mathematical science independent from philosophy. He traveled between empires carrying knowledge across Central Asia, Persia, and the Ottoman world. And his work helped preserve and expand scientific thought during one of history's most turbulent eras. This is the story of the man who measured the heavens, the scholar who connected civilizations through science, the genius who brought astronomy to the Ottoman Empire. This is the story of Ali Kuşçu. The 15th century was a world of collapsing empires and rising powers. In Europe, kingdoms fought endless wars. The Renaissance was beginning to awaken old knowledge. But far to the east, another intellectual revolution was already flourishing. Across Central Asia and the Islamic world, scholars preserved and expanded the sciences of ancient Greece, Persia, India, and the Arab world. Astronomy was among the most important sciences of all, not only for philosophy, but for survival. Astronomers determined prayer times. They calculated calendars. They guided navigation. They predicted eclipses. They mapped the skies for rulers, travelers, and merchants. And among the greatest scientific centers on Earth stood the magnificent Timurid Empire. Its cities glittered with libraries, observatories, mathematicians, poets, and philosophers. One city in particular became legendary: Samarkand, a jewel of Central Asia, a city of turquoise domes and towering madrasas, a city where mathematics was treated almost like a sacred language. And at the center of this scientific world stood a ruler unlike most kings in history, a conqueror who loved astronomy more than war. His name was Ulugh Beg. He was not merely a prince. He was one of the greatest astronomers of his age. And soon, he would meet a young scholar whose brilliance would shape the future of science itself, Ali Kuşçu. Very little is known about Ali Kuşçu's earliest childhood. Even history leaves shadows around his birth, but most historians believe he was born in Samarkand around the early 1400s. His father worked closely with the royal court. According to tradition, he served as a falconer for Ulugh Beg. That is where Ali received the nickname Kuşçu, the falconer. Yet the boy destined for science cared less about birds and more about the stars above them. Samarkand during this period was unlike almost any city on Earth. Books flowed through its markets. Scholars debated mathematics in public spaces. Astronomy was discussed with seriousness and prestige. Young Ali grew up surrounded by intellectual giants, and he absorbed knowledge rapidly. He studied mathematics, logic, philosophy, language, astronomy, geometry. The works of earlier scholars filled his mind: Euclid, Ptolemy, Al-Biruni, Nasir al-Din al-Tusi, al-Khwarizmi. The great chain of scientific knowledge stretched across centuries, and Ali Kuşçu was becoming its next link. But he wanted more than memorization. He wanted discovery. He wanted truth. And eventually, his talents became impossible to ignore. In the early 15th century, Ulugh Beg constructed one of the greatest observatories in human history, the Samarkand Observatory. It was enormous. Massive instruments stretched across the structure. Giant sextants measured the heavens with astonishing precision. Astronomers climbed towering platforms to observe celestial movement. At a time when Europe still lacked major observatories, Samarkand was already pushing the limits of scientific measurement. And here, Ali Kuşçu entered the center of astronomical science. He became a student of elite scholars serving Ulugh Beg. Among them was the famous mathematician and astronomer, Kadizada al-Rumi. The environment was intellectually electrifying. Every night scholars studied planetary motion. They debated mathematical errors in ancient astronomy. They refined star tables. They challenged inherited assumptions. And Ali Kuşçu rose rapidly among them. His intelligence was extraordinary. But even more important, he possessed scientific courage. He was willing to question accepted ideas. This was dangerous, because for centuries, astronomy had been deeply tied to Aristotelian philosophy. Ancient thinkers believed Earth stood motionless at the center of the universe. Most scholars accepted these assumptions, but Ali Kuşçu began to separate astronomy from philosophy itself. He believed astronomical models should be based on mathematics and observation, not philosophical tradition. This was revolutionary. Centuries before modern science fully embraced empirical methods, Ali Kuşçu was already moving toward them. Astronomy in the medieval world was not guesswork. It was mathematics. Tiny errors could destroy calculations. So Ali Kuşçu dedicated himself to precision. Night after night, he observed the skies. He measured planetary movements. He calculated positions of stars. He analyzed eclipses. The observatory became a machine for understanding the cosmos, and one of its greatest achievements emerged through the famous star catalogue known as the Zij-i-Sultani, a monumental astronomical work supervised by Ulugh Beg and refined by scholars including Ali Kuşçu. The catalogue contained astonishingly accurate star measurements, far more precise than many European tables of the era. The scholars of Samarkand were improving humanity's map of the universe, but knowledge alone could not protect them from politics, because beyond the observatory walls, the Timurid Empire was becoming unstable. Power struggles intensified. Religious conservatives sometimes distrusted scientific inquiry, and the brilliant world of Samarkand stood on fragile ground. Soon, everything would change. Ulugh Beg loved science, but many rulers around him valued power more than knowledge. Political enemies surrounded him. Court intrigue deepened. The empire fractured. Then tragedy struck. In 1449, Ulugh Beg was assassinated. One of the greatest scientific rulers in history was dead. The observatory that had illuminated the heavens entered decline. Scholars scattered. Fear spread through Samarkand. And Ali Kuşçu faced a terrifying reality. The intellectual world he loved was collapsing. Libraries became vulnerable. Scientific institutions lost protection. The future of astronomy itself seemed uncertain. But Ali Kuşçu refused to let knowledge die. Instead, he carried it forward. After the death of Ulugh Beg, Ali Kuşçu left Samarkand. He traveled westward, crossing mountains, deserts, trade routes, political frontiers. He eventually arrived in Persia, where new rulers recognized his brilliance. Science during this era depended heavily on patronage. Without protection from powerful leaders, scholars struggled to survive. Fortunately, Ali Kuşçu's reputation had spread widely. His mathematical expertise was extraordinary, his astronomical knowledge unmatched, and soon, he became one of the most respected scholars in the region. During this period, he wrote important scientific works, treatises on astronomy, mathematics, logic, theology, language. His scholarship was remarkably broad, But astronomy remained his greatest passion, and within his writings emerged one of his most important intellectual contributions, the independence of astronomy from natural philosophy. This idea sounds modern today, but in the 15th century, it was radical. Ali Kuşçu argued astronomy should rely on mathematical models and observational evidence rather than inherited philosophical assumptions about the universe. In other words, science should follow evidence, not tradition. This idea would echo centuries later in scientific revolutions across the world. While Central Asia struggled, another empire was rising, the Ottomans, and at their center stood a young ruler obsessed with greatness, Mehmed II, the conqueror of Constantinople, a military genius, but also a patron of science, philosophy, art, and mathematics. After capturing Constantinople in 1453, Mehmed dreamed of transforming the city into a global intellectual capital. He wanted scholars, engineers, scientists, philosophers, and he heard stories about a legendary astronomer from Samarkand, Ali Kuşçu. The Sultan invited him to Istanbul, and history was about to change. Ali Kuşçu entered Istanbul as one of the most respected scholars of his age. The city itself was transforming rapidly. Ancient Byzantine structures stood beside rising Ottoman institutions. Markets overflowed with cultures from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. And Mehmed II welcomed scholarship with extraordinary enthusiasm. Ali Kuşçu quickly became central to the Ottoman intellectual world. He taught mathematics and astronomy. He reformed scientific education. He trained students who would spread knowledge across the empire. Most importantly, he helped establish astronomy as a respected academic discipline within Ottoman institutions. His arrival symbolized something larger than one scholar's success. It represented the transfer of scientific knowledge from Central Asia into the Ottoman world. Samarkand's scientific legacy survived through him, and Istanbul became a new center of learning. Ali Kuşçu's scientific ideas were deeply important, not because he invented telescopes, not because he discovered new planets, but because he transformed methodology. He challenged blind dependence on Aristotelian physics. He argued that Earth's motion could theoretically be possible. This did not mean he fully proposed heliocentrism like Nicholas Copernicus centuries later, but he opened intellectual doors. He demonstrated that astronomical models should be evaluated mathematically, not philosophically. That distinction mattered enormously, because it weakened ancient assumptions that had dominated astronomy for centuries. Ali Kuşçu was helping science move toward independence, toward observation, toward mathematics, toward evidence. These are foundations of modern scientific thinking. Ali Kuşçu was not only an astronomer, he was also a major mathematician. His works explored arithmetic, geometry, and advanced mathematical reasoning. He wrote educational texts used for generations. His mathematical style emphasized clarity and rigor. He understood something profound. Mathematics was the language connecting earth and sky. Without mathematics, astronomy collapses, navigation fails, engineering weakens, calendars break, civilizations lose precision. And so he taught mathematics not merely as abstract theory, but as the foundation of civilization itself. One reason Ali Kuşçu became so influential was his ability to navigate science and religion carefully. In many societies, scientific inquiry could become controversial, but Ali Kuşçu approached knowledge with balance. He argued that studying creation deepened understanding of divine order. Astronomy revealed structure. Mathematics revealed harmony. Knowledge itself became a form of intellectual devotion. This perspective allowed scientific study to flourish within Ottoman educational institutions, and it protected astronomy during politically unstable times. Under Mehmed II, great educational institutions rose across Istanbul. Madrasas became centers of advanced learning. Ali Kuşçu played a major role in shaping curricula. Astronomy and mathematics gained prestige. Students traveled from distant regions to study under him. His lectures became legendary. Imagine the scene: oil lamps flickering across manuscripts, young scholars carefully drawing celestial diagrams, complex equations scratched onto parchment. And at the center, Ali Kuşçu explaining the mechanics of the heavens, knowledge passed from teacher to student, generation after generation. This is how civilizations preserve science, not only through books, but through mentorship. Astronomy in Ali Kuşçu's era required incredible patience. No telescopes, no computers, no satellites, only observation and mathematics. Yet these scholars calculated planetary movements with astonishing sophistication. They mapped eclipses, predicted celestial events, tracked solar and lunar cycles, measured time itself. Ali Kuşçu helped refine this scientific tradition. His writings improved astronomical education. His methods strengthened precision, and his influence spread far beyond the Ottoman court. Ali Kuşçu's life connected worlds: Central Asia, Persia, the Ottoman Empire, Turkic traditions, Islamic scholarship, ancient Greek science, Persian mathematics, Arabic astronomy. His journey represented something larger than one individual. It represented the movement of knowledge across civilizations. Science survives when ideas travel, and Ali Kuşçu carried entire intellectual traditions across continents. Without scholars like him, much scientific knowledge might have disappeared during periods of war and instability. Instead, it evolved. As Ali Kuşçu aged, his reputation only grew stronger. Students admired him. Rulers respected him. Scholars debated his ideas. His works circulated widely. And yet, like many great thinkers, he probably understood how small humanity truly is beneath the stars. Astronomy creates humility. The universe is vast. Human life is brief, but knowledge can outlive centuries. Ali Kuşçu died in Istanbul in 1474. But his influence did not end, because ideas do not die easily, especially scientific ones. Today, many people outside academic history barely know his name, yet his contributions were enormous. He helped preserve advanced astronomy after the fall of Samarkand. He strengthened Ottoman scientific education. He separated astronomy from philosophy in revolutionary ways. He advanced mathematics. He trained generations of scholars. He carried scientific knowledge across empires. Modern historians increasingly recognize his importance in the global history of science. He was part of the long chain connecting ancient astronomy to the scientific revolutions that later transformed the world. And perhaps most importantly, he reminds us that science has never belonged to one civilization alone. Knowledge is humanity's shared inheritance. The stars above every culture are the same stars. And across history, people everywhere have tried to understand them. Ali Kuşçu was one of the greatest among them. Tonight, Look up at the night sky. The stars seem silent, distant, unreachable. But centuries ago, without telescopes or spacecraft, scholars like Ali Kuşçu dared to measure them, to calculate their movement, to understand cosmic order through reason and mathematics. They built observatories by hand, filled libraries with equations, risked political instability to preserve knowledge. And because of them, humanity moved one step closer to understanding the universe. Ali Kuşçu was more than an astronomer. He was a bridge between civilizations, a guardian of science, a mathematician of the heavens, and one of the great minds of history. The stars he studied still shine above us, but now we remember the man who tried to understand them. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.